Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everybody. So glad you, the learner, are here with us today.
Mhm.
Because usually when we talk about sound, we kind of just think of it as a backdrop, right?
Right, yeah. Like a soundtrack to our life.
Exactly. Like you put on a playlist to pump you up at the gym, or maybe you play some acoustic guitar to wind down after work. It's atmospheric.
Just decoration for your
Yeah,
environment.
decoration.
hmm
But when you step into the world of neuroscience specifically, when we look at developmental disabilities, that whole music is decoration concept just completely goes out the window.
Oh, absolutely.
We are looking at a landscape where sound isn't just a vibe, it's structural. It is literally a biological input that actively shapes human behavior.
It really is. And it forces us to redefine what we even consider to be a therapeutic intervention.
Right.
We are so used to thinking of sensory support in terms of like physical tools.
Weighted blankets.
Exactly. Weighted blankets, specialized seating, tactile objects. But what the materials we are looking at today suggest is that auditory input, when it's engineered correctly, is just as tangible to the nervous system as a physical object.
That is exactly what we are dissecting today.
Yeah.
We are taking a deep dive into a really fascinating stack of source materials centered around a tool called NeuroAudia.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Right. We have their official website text, which breaks down the methodology and the science. But honestly, we also have something much more valuable.
The testimonials.
Yes, 7 incredibly distinct real-world testimonials. We are hearing directly from parents, a sibling, special education teachers, social workers, and disability service personnel.
And that variety of perspectives is really what makes this so compelling, I think.
Absolutely. Because the mission for us today and for you listening is to figure out how sensory input actually shapes emotional reality.
Right, we aren't just looking at isolated lab data here.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know you listeners want to get past the wellness marketing jargon, right? We want to examine how a very specific auditory methodology behaves in the actual chaotic environments of daily living.
Yeah, the living room, the classroom, the family car.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can even begin to analyze those family testimonials, we really have to understand the actual mechanism.
Right. How does it transition from entertainment to therapy?
Exactly. The text says NeuroAudia bridges the gap between melody and neuroscience. It claims to use research-driven sound design where rhythm synchronizes with neural patterns. Now, we hear phrases like neural synchronization tossed around in marketing all the time. But how is this actually working? Because, I mean, if normal music is like a scenic drive for your brain, NeuroAudia sounds like a specialized alignment tool for your nervous system, tuning the frequencies to the science of calm and focus.
That is a fantastic analogy. And to really understand that mechanism, we have to look at a very specific phrase from the source material.
Okay, what is it?
It states, and this is a direct quote, "It's not just something you hear, it's something your nervous system understands."
Oh, wow.
Right. That is the crux of the entire methodology. Because normally when you listen to a song, the sound waves hit your ear, the signal travels up to your auditory cortex, your brain processes the melody, and then you have a cognitive or emotional reaction to it.
You decide if you like it or if it makes you sad.
Exactly, or if it makes you want to dance. It is a top-down cognitive process.
Right, you have to actually think about it, even subconsciously, to feel it.
But individuals with profound sensory processing challenges, like, say, many on the autism spectrum, they often have nervous systems that are already completely overloaded.
Their baseline of sensory input is just overwhelming.
Yeah, and the cognitive effort required to consciously filter out all that noise and try to self-regulate, it's just exhausting.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
So what's fascinating here is that NeuroAudia is bypassing that conscious cognitive effort entirely.
Really?
By engineering sound where the rhythm directly synchronizes with neural patterns, it's utilizing a principle that's akin to sympathetic resonance.
Oh, like a tuning fork.
Yes, exactly.
Like if you strike a tuning fork and bring it near a guitar string that's tuned to the exact same pitch, the guitar string will just start vibrating on its own without you ever even touching it.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. The acoustic frequencies and the rhythmic structures in NeuroAudia are mathematically aligned with the optimal frequencies of a calm, regulated nervous system.
Okay.
So when the auditory system receives this highly organized, predictable input, the brain's internal electrical patterns naturally begin to match that rhythm.
It's essentially speaking the native language of the brain.
Exactly. It prompts the nervous system to self-regulate from the bottom up without the user ever having to consciously try to calm down.
Man, That is so different from our usual approach to sensory overload.
Oh, completely.
Because the standard protocol for an overwhelming environment is usually like subtraction, right?
Mhm.
We use white noise machines to mask disturbing sounds or heavy earplugs to block the stimuli out entirely.
Right, masking and blocking.
But this isn't masking. This is active biological engineering.
Yeah.
It's introducing a specific structural sound to give the nervous system an actual anchor.
Which is just a massive leap forward, because instead of just hiding from the sensory chaos of the world, you are providing the nervous system with a stabilizing rhythm to help it integrate that chaos.
Right, you are equipping the regulatory centers rather than just shielding them.
Exactly.
So that theoretical neuroscience is incredible, but it naturally leads to the ultimate stress test.
The real world.
Right. It is one thing for the brain to recognize a stabilizing rhythm in a quiet laboratory or some controlled clinical setting. It is a completely different ballgame when that same brain is thrown into the absolute unpredictability of a family living room.
Oh, for sure. The transition from clinical efficacy to functional daily living is where so many of these therapeutic tools just fall apart.
Because the environment is too complex to control.
Exactly. Does this highly engineered sound therapy actually survive the reality of family life?
Well, that is exactly why the candidness of these family testimonials caught my attention. There is one review in our sources from a brother, and the text simply describes it as an in-the-car testimonial.
Car, yeah.
If you know anyone with sensory processing needs, you know the family car is essentially a pressure cooker.
It really is. It's a highly stimulating environment where the individual has basically zero control over the inputs.
Right. You have a confined space, flashing lights passing by the windows, unpredictable motion, the vibration of the road, and you can't just get up and leave. It is a sensory nightmare.
Complete nightmare.
And this brother, he reflects on the years his family spent desperately searching for ways to help his sister feel more regulated during these trips. And his actual quote about using NeuroAudia in the car was, "She was just calm, and that's not something we usually see."
Wow.
Just calm. I mean, there is so much weight in that word just. It implies this sudden absence of the usual struggle.
The simplicity of that observation is just incredibly powerful. And if we look at the mother's review in our sources, we see a very parallel experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she noted that her child felt noticeably more regulated and comfortable, and that their day-to-day routines became, quote, so much easier.
So much easier.
Right, and it is vital to contextualize what so much easier really means in the realm of developmental disabilities, because the goal of a daily intervention is rarely, a cinematic, miraculous breakthrough where all challenges just vanish forever.
Right. It's about reducing the friction, isn't it? Getting shoes on, transitioning from the breakfast table to the front door.
Yes.
Things that can traditionally trigger a massive dysregulation event for these families.
Exactly. The goal is achieving a baseline of comfort during everyday transitions. When the nervous system isn't constantly in a fight or flight state, desperately trying to process overwhelming stimuli, you unlock that baseline.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Both the mother and the brother are observing the exact same neurological phenomenon, that rhythmic synchronization aiding in sensory integration. They are just seeing it applied to different pressure points of their daily lives.
Okay, but I have to push back on this concept of calming auditory support for a second.
Sure.
When we talk about bypassing the cognitive process to create a state of calm, is there a risk? We were just talking about a digital pacifier here. Like, are we basically just sedating these individuals with sound so that they're easier for the caregivers to manage?
That is the most critical, ethical, and practical question you can ask when you're dealing with behavioral regulation tools.
Right.
Are we supporting the individual's agency, or are we just numbing them into compliance? Well, the materials strongly indicate the former. And I would point you specifically to the father's review for this.
Oh, the father. He brings up a slightly different angle than the mother and brother, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He explicitly notes that the tool helped his son manage sensory needs and reduce anxiety.
Manage.
Yes. The operative word there is manage. A pacifier, or a sedative, numbs the user to their environment, effectively withdrawing them from reality.
Right. Checking out.
But this methodology is building capacity. By providing that bottom-up rhythmic stabilization we talked about earlier, it allows the individual to remain present, alert, and comfortable.
Oh, I see.
They are actively processing their environment just without the debilitating anxiety that usually accompanies it.
Ah, so it's kind of the difference between turning off a car's engine so it stops overheating versus giving that engine the high-quality oil it needs to run smoothly while actually driving down the road.
That is a perfect way to put it.
You aren't shutting the user down. You are giving their nervous system the internal lubrication it needs to function in a high-stress environment.
That is the exact distinction. It is an equipping tool, not a pacifying tool. It actually facilitates active participation in daily life.
Okay, that distinction makes perfect sense. And it perfectly bridges into our next major question.
Scaling up.
Yes, we have established this baseline of calm at home. The morning routines are easier, the anxiety is managed, the car rides are smoother. But what happens when we scale up?
Right, moving outside the house.
If this works in the confined space of a car, how does it translate to a highly stimulating, complex environment with, like, a dozen other people? We are shifting from the intimate family perspective to the professional lens of schools and community programs.
And, professionals look at these interventions through a very different filter.
Okay.
They are managing entire groups, and they see an endless parade of tools and therapies that constantly overpromise and underdeliver.
Which makes the testimonial from the service coordinator so striking.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
This is someone who literally has an entire catalog of interventions at their disposal, coordinating care across multiple disciplines. And they actually use the phrase, the missing piece in client support, for improving emotional regulation and supporting greater independence.
The missing piece.
Yeah. To call it the missing piece implies that despite all the occupational therapy, the speech therapy, the behavioral plans, there was a gap in foundational sensory support that this auditory tool finally filled.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture and analyze the teacher and the disability services personnel reviews, a very clear pattern emerges regarding how that gap is actually filled.
What's the pattern?
Well, in a special education classroom, establishing an environment conducive to learning is notoriously difficult because one dysregulated student can easily trigger a chain reaction.
Oh, sure, a domino effect.
But the teacher noted that integrating NeuroAudia didn't just isolate the user. It led to smoother transitions, improved engagement, and most importantly, a calmer learning atmosphere for the entire classroom.
I want to pause on that because that is a massive paradigm shift.
It really is.
Usually when we think of tools that help students with sensory overload, we think of those heavy industrial-style noise-canceling headphones.
Right, the big earmuffs.
Yeah. And the entire function of those headphones is to wall the user off from the world. You are creating a physical barrier between the student and the classroom to prevent a meltdown.
You are effectively removing them from the learning environment, even if they are technically still sitting right at their desk.
But the Disability Services Review specifically says this tool helps students stay focused and engaged. It sounds like NeuroAudia is keeping them tethered to the room, not blocking the room out.
Yes.
Instead of a concrete wall, it acts like, I don't know, a pair of polarized sunglasses for their ears, filtering the harsh glare of the sensory experience so they can actually look at and participate in what is happening around them.
I love that. Polarized sunglasses for the ears. It really is the difference between isolation and integration. And the social worker's testimonial in our sources corroborates this entirely.
What did you say?
She reported seeing, quote, more consistent engagement in daily activities.
There's that word again, engagement.
Exactly. That is the definitive proof that the tool isn't inducing a state of withdrawal or acting as a digital pacifier. It actively promotes independence and participation in structured environments.
That makes a lot of sense.
The auditory support reduces the sensory overload, which decreases the behavioral disruptions, which in turn allows the student to focus, interact, and actually absorb the lesson being taught.
It creates a domino effect of positive regulation. Because if the individual feels internally anchored by the rhythm, they don't act out.
Right.
And if they don't act out, the teacher isn't spending half the period doing crisis management. And if the teacher is calm, the rest of the classroom remains calm.
And for an educator or a disability support professional, managing a room full of incredibly diverse and complex needs, finding a tool that seamlessly integrates into real-world service delivery while fostering that kind of collective regulation is just rare.
So what does this all mean when we get down to the practical reality of acquiring this tool?
Ah, the catch.
Right. We have walked through the rigorous neuroscience of neural synchronization. We have seen the undeniable functional benefits at home with families achieving that elusive baseline of calm. And we have analyzed the clinical and educational success where it keeps students engaged rather than isolated. But anytime we talk about specialized, research-driven therapeutic technology, there is always an enormous catch.
There is always a massive barrier to entry, usually financial.
Always. The assistive technology pipeline is notoriously grueling. Families and schools are usually forced to navigate insurance approvals, fight for budget allocations in individualized education program meetings, or just face massive out-of-pocket expenses.
It's exhausting.
It is. So here's where it gets really interesting. I was combing through these source materials, bracing myself for the exorbitant subscription fee or the heavy equipment cost. And I found the twist. Both the Father's Review and the Disability Services Personnel Review explicitly state that NeuroAudia is a completely free assistive technology tool.
Wait, completely free?
Completely free. This raises an important question about the fundamental accessibility of care, doesn't it?
It really does. The technological innovation is impressive, but removing the financial friction is what actually transforms service delivery.
It completely upends the expected narrative.
Yeah.
Because we are so conditioned to expect therapeutic interventions to be incredibly expensive, how does the fact that this is entirely free change the landscape for the educators and the caregivers we've been talking about?
Well, the disability services professional in our sources points directly to this. They note that it provides a solution for educators and support teams to enhance outcomes without added cost.
Which is huge for schools.
Oh, absolutely. In the public school system, special education departments are perpetually underfunded.
Right.
When a new intervention costs hundreds or thousands of dollars per student, committees have to debate it. Approvals take months.
And by that time, the kid has lost valuable time.
Exactly. Inevitably, students who desperately need the support age out or miss the developmental window while waiting for the bureaucracy to clear. Removing that financial barrier means a teacher can identify a need on a Monday and implement the solution on a Tuesday.
The immediacy of that support is staggering.
It is.
And for the parents, we talked about the brother and the parents spending years searching for solutions.
For families, the impact is arguably even more profound. The father mentioned how exhausting it is to find solutions that truly work.
Yeah.
Parents of children with profound sensory needs are dealing with a relentless level of fatigue. They are navigating a maze of expensive therapies, wait lists for specialists, and specialized equipment that their child might simply reject after 5 minutes.
Oh, which happens all the time. You spend $1,000 on a specialized swing, and the child hates the texture of it, and you're just stuck.
Exactly. And the financial guilt of that is crushing.
I can imagine.
To have a tool that is proven to manage sensory needs and reduce anxiety and to have it be freely accessible means parents can just try it.
Zero risk.
There is zero financial risk. They don't have to choose between sensory support and the grocery bill. They can download it, put it on the car ride, play it during the morning routine, and see immediate real-time results. It democratizes the relief.
It democratizes the relief. Man, that is a perfect way to synthesize the entire impact of this deep dive.
Yeah.
Because we started with the sheer biology of the beat, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that sound isn't just atmospheric, but structural.
Mm-hmm.
We look at how NeuroAudia's specific rhythm acts like a tuning fork, physically synchronizing with neural patterns to bypass cognitive exhaustion and provide a bottom-up anchor for the nervous system.
A mechanism that the nervous system natively understands.
Exactly. And from there, we traced how that internal anchor translates to the real world. We saw it calm the pressure cooker of a family car ride, making daily transitions manageable without numbing the user.
Right. Building capacity, not acting as a pacifier.
We watched it scale up into the classroom, proving to be the missing piece that filters sensory glare, keeping students tethered and engaged, which creates a ripple effect of calm across an entire room.
Yeah.
And finally, we saw how making this profound technology free shatters the bureaucratic barriers that usually keep life-changing tools out of the hands of exhausted parents and underfunded teachers.
It really is a comprehensive reimagining of how we administer auditory support.
It is. And for you listening right now, whether you're an educator, a caregiver, navigating these challenges daily, or just someone fascinated by the untapped biological potential of the human brain, this challenges everything we assume about how we process the world.
It really does.
It proves that targeted, intentional sensory input isn't just a comfort measure. It's a fundamental building block for emotional reality.
You know, I think it leaves us with a highly provocative thought to carry forward.
Okay.
Well, we have just spent this entire deep dive examining how an intentionally designed, structured auditory tool like NeuroAudia can communicate so directly with our nervous system to create profound, calm, focus, and capacity.
Right.
It forces you to look at your own environment and wonder, what is the chaotic, accidental, unstructured soundscape of your daily life quietly telling your nervous system every single day?
Oh, wow. That is a question that will absolutely linger. Are we navigating a world that constantly demands our nervous system to fight back, or are we actively tuning our environment to support us?
Pay attention to your soundtrack.
Pay attention to your soundtrack. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us today. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and we will catch you next time.